Let's talk rivets. And there's literally no way to turn that statement into an amazing YouTube attention-grabbing hook. To be more specific, 28 to 32mm scale model rivets for scratch-built terrain that look and match almost exactly with how Games Workshop do it. There are loads of different ways to make rivets on terrain, but to keep this video short and informative, I'm just going to give you a quick and cheap way. It's as simple as poking something long into a hole, a concept that 100% of my audience is probably familiar with looking at my statistics. And the scale of this solution matches almost perfectly with Games Workshop's rivet style across almost everything in the Warhammer 40k universe. Most of the time you don't even need any glue, because I'm sure you found that trying to glue on tiny DIY rivets, there's more often more glue on the model than rivet, and when you finally paint it up, you've painted the rivet and the glue, and it looks terrible. So you either fudge it and poke an indentation, or revert to something bigger than the correct scale just to have the ability to glue it on. You can actually buy plastic rivets and bolts that come on a sheet and a little sticky tool to pick up the tiny things, but if you've ever tried to use these, well, put it this way, there's probably more rivets somewhere embedded in my carpet than on an actual model. All you're going to need are wire cutters, a piece of thick foam or cardboard, and some dressmaking pins. If you're going for that Games Workshop rivet in a circle look, you'll also need a belt hole punch. For the terrain itself, I'd recommend a mixture of materials. If you're used to scratch building anything, you'll likely have a bunch of this lying around anyway. It works best with soft stuff that you can pierce quickly. Think foam core, blue foam or balsa foam, grey board or cereal box card and some thicker printer paper. If you've got a hobby drill or a Dremel with a small drill bit, you can do this on MDF terrain too. Not sure why you'd want to do it on plastic or resin, because they probably already have the rivets moulded in anyway, but hey, you might want more. Make your terrain as you usually do. I prefer to layer up different thicknesses of materials to create some more realistic 3D relief. By layering a few materials on top of each other of varying thicknesses, you can almost replicate any 3D effect except smooth curves and domes. So you've got your bits and you've decided what you want to make. For this example, I've made a wall for Necromunda, because why break the habit of a lifetime? This process works for anything you want to make though. I've taken some balsa foam, cut 2 different thicknesses of card to layer up, punched some larger holes with the belt hole punch, and glued it all in place. Then take a few dressmaking pins and stick them in a bit of spare foam. This stops the pointy ends flying all around the room when you trim off the tip, and allows you to dispose of them in a safer way. Depending on the thickness of your scratch build, you don't need to trim them, but I found it easier to poke through less than a full pin, as they can bend. Hold the tip and cut the pin, one at a time or all at once, and keep them safely together in a small pot. Take another untrimmed pin and poke a hole where you want the rivet. Then take your trimmed pin and poke it in. I can't recommend poking all these in with your thumb. I did that at first, but very quickly your thumb really takes the brunt of the pain. Instead, I found this old dried out felt tip pen that had an indentation on the end that was perfect for the job. But really anything you've got lying around would work. It's just to save your thumb. The pins tend to stay in place without glue as they're holding tight onto the card and the foam. If you're drilling MDF, then a little bit of glue on the blunt end will hold it in place. A big tub of these pins is really quite cheap, and they add a level of fine detail that's as easy as, well, poking a pin into a hole. Once these are painted up, the paint holds everything in place even more. They come out at a really good scale for Warhammer 40k and take next to no time to add to your scratch builds. It gives a whole new meaning to put a pin in it. And now we have yet another wall to add to our growing collection of extra walls, because, I'll say it again, why do these kits never have enough walls? Thanks for watching. Riveting, wasn't it?